go-to answer here in the LPL. LEC does tend to pull out the Jhin. We know that's one of Hunafeng's better picks, so maybe that's something Suning tend to go with.
Of course, last night we did also see the likes of Jinx come through, but it will be the Jhin this time around. Now, do you take away something like the Lux? Do you deny the partnership?
I actually would love to see them just pick up the Lee Sin early, because to me that's been Karsa's best champion by far, and it's also been something that SofM has been a standout on.
It really has been. For now, we'll wait.
The Sett has also been a champion that can obviously flex between multiple roles. We've mostly seen it in the jungle position as of late, but going towards the Graves in the end and picking this one up nice and early, it does pair well with the CC AD carries we've seen in the bot lane, right? It brings a source of pseudo-engage for Graves to be able to get in the backline and deal all his first.
Now, as mentioned before, though, for top esports, the Lux is always paired with this Caitlyn, and not many teams have looked at taking away this duo.
And even for SwordArt, mage supports haven't really been his specialty this split. He's been a lot more about these engaged champions along with the Bard. Only has 2 games of Lux himself, so great dual lane coming out from TS. Sets that they want to get a lot of plate gold onto JackeyLove very early on. And as we said, when we have these champions that do scale quite well into the game, like a Caitlyn that can play off a range advantage, this is exactly where JackeyLove thrives.
And now you got a bit of a front line. The Sett has been locked in, of course, still a flex here in the LPL.
This surprises me because we expect this to go into the hands of Karsa. But Karsa actually hasn't played any Sett all summer long.
True.
And they've even said in interviews like, hey, we aren't able to play a lot of these meta picks like the Sett, like the Volley Bear, but we're going to put in the time to practice, and it's good to show that TS are now comfortable with this champion in their hands.
Well, for Suning, Morgana's going to be locked on in.
This has historically been SwordArt's best mage support, in my opinion. Again, it's a champion that's been around over the years, as has SwordArt, so it's going to be nice to see that they have a lot of lockdown in this spot lane. But when we have a Jhin Morgana coming out in the Graves in the jungle, I want to see SofM putting priority on this bot lane, trying to burst out a very fragile bot lane in Caitlyn and Lux.
Then we set up for that narrative, the AD carry versus AD carry with the influence from the rest of the map. We do still need some solo laners here, depending on where that set's going. But at least banning away 369, his Ornn, one of his most played up there alongside the Renekton, which is also unavailable, and we start going down the list.
I'd love to see for Suning just to go for mid on 4, because top lane counterpick just feels so impactful this meta if you aren't able to counterpick support. But hey, Suning going to be able to get their hands on both since they already have the Morgana, so shut down 369, leave that last pick for Bin, and then maybe pick some kind of safe utility mid laner. Though with Twisted Fate and Galio both banned out, there aren't too many options left for Angel. The only real safe blind pick left in my mind is something like an Orianna or an Azir.
Okay.
But you don't have much setup for something like the ball coming out from an Orianna. You have this comp so far with Suning that does want to play from a range, so maybe something like an Azir can slot in nicely.
Okay, well, still left up available. There's one ban left for top esports, while Suning have gotten rid of double top laner. The Camille, Bin has been spamming this in solo queue as well, and as we know, it has come out 3 times in the LPL so far, so top laner's taken away, but that blind mid is what you're getting ready for.
Yeah, and like we said, there aren't too many champions left available, so maybe signaling, hey, let's just go for a blind pick top. Jace is perfect in that regard. You don't really have any bad matchups. You typically see people try to pick something like a Renekton into it and force a 2v2, and Renekton's been banned. So Suning gonna go with the blind top laner, but gonna take this a different direction. They're gonna go for the Mordekaiser, which actually opens up a potential Jax pick for 369.
Yeah, and I mean, he has played Jax a couple of times already, so
it's been the go-to counter in the LPL for when someone does blind pick this Mordekaiser.
Even before the buffs recently, right on the Counter-Strike.
True, and even Caitlyn Lux sets up a very good duo for a 1-3-1 or hard 1-4, where you know Caitlyn Lux can safely sit in the mid lane and push the waves while Jax is getting that split push pressure. And there is the Orianna for Night Out we talked about. You have great setup coming out from the Sett to deliver the ball in. You have a great 4-1 setup because Caitlyn Lux and Orianna can just wave clear for days.
One of his most played, so Knight's going to show us once again, while for Angel, does he want to take an aggressive matchup into it? We're left with a mid counter pick against the best mid laner, or one of the best mid laners in the LPL. Angel,
this is what fits their comp much better, right? Because as we talked about, Jhin, Morgana, Graves, they're already setting up from playing out of range. Even Mordekaiser slots in comps very well as playing kind of like a zoning threat where it's very hard for people to run into because there's always the threat of being pulled into the death realm. And so far we have scaling on both sides.
Which is quite interesting because we're going to be looking a lot at the bottom lane though. That's what I've gotten the impression here out of Game 1 with what's been drafted and the attention you wanted from SofM.
Exactly. When you have this Jhin up against the Caitlyn, you definitely want to abuse these early windows. And even the Azir against Orianna, you can get the push early on.
Yep.
So set up for Angel pushing that mid lane, get SofM to play that mid jungle style heading towards bot lane, and really set up Hunafeng in SwordArt for success.
It's a great way to start the semifinals. I love seeing Jax up in the top lane, and 369 is the confident top laner to do it, but more so seeing JackeyLove and Yuyanjia trying to build their success in that bottom lane. Top Esports are the first seed. They're meant to be the best team in the LPL, but towards the end of the regular season, there were some complications. There were some inconsistencies, issues where Top Esports weren't as clean as what we saw at the start of the split.
And it really came down to the meta for me, where they even said in interviews, right? We saw things like Ezreal fading out, the Karsa much harder to play in a lot of these bot lane champions like the Jhin, like the Ashe. So now with time, they seem well to go forward.
And for Suning, already going over expectation. People thought they'd lose in quarterfinals, but against Top Esports here, they're going head-to-head. Our semifinals in the LPL 2020 summer are about to kick off with two exceptional teams running for that world spot and grand final. It's Top Esports and Suning, the start of our semifinals here in the LPL. It's the understudy and the teacher/mentor, JackeyLove versus Hunafeng. This time, everything on the line. Top Esports only need one series to make Worlds, but for Suning, they had the chance to make their first ever grand final. And it feels pretty good for both these teams and its fans.
I like that we come in and see TS expecting for Suning to go for a level 1 cheese because, you know, in the first game of the best of 5 is really the time to do it.
All right, fans, need to calm down. I guess not as many people believe in the Suning hype train that's being built. But Top Esports, you know, they're meant to be the favorite.
Knight, JackeyLove, Karsa, how can you bet against people with so much experience?
Very, very true. As SwordArt sends out the Dark Binding, connects onto JackeyLove. Bottom lane moving into lane very early, so it's going to be a leashless start, but of course SofM is on the top side. And Lyric, as we move into this game, we have a look at runes kind of being standard across the board. I want to talk about that scaling element again. I want to look for expectations set in this game. With when we see scaling on both sides, how we transition from mid to late, etc., etc.
I think the scaling on Top Esports side is better. I really like the composition they've put together to where they can play a much slower early game, in my opinion. We can just see Karsa really cover the lanes. I'd say especially bot. Let Caitlyn get a few items in. Let Jax just get that isolated 1v1 on top side. So as long as you can kind of keep tabs on SofM, your isolated laners are going to feel really good. Okay,
so in the solo lanes there, but for Suning, it does feel around these objectives, and we get the setup from Hunafeng. As 369 here hits off 2 on the top side, and Bin just takes a bit of a harsh trade as the lane's pushing against him. But Suning, run me through a little bit of what we can expect.
So I like what SofM has done so far with pathing towards bot side, right? Because it's all about enabling Jhin and Morgana to play as aggressively as possible. But that's another interesting point, right? This is the best playoff position that Suning as an org has ever had.
It's always been round 1. You and I were talking about it upstairs and saying that Suning have always fallen out in the very first round. They got seeded straight to quarterfinals, and that already was great, but then beating V5, getting to a semi-final. With the roster they have, you start thinking, well, actually, it's not hard to imagine Suning being a top 4 team in the region.
No, and now we're going to get to see how their resilience gets tested with Karsa going for the skank at level 3.
Remember, phase rush Sett. Angel takes the shifting sands out of there, and Karsa will help with the haymaker to shove the rest of the wave, so Knight can be in a pretty good place.
Yeah, and we see Karsa throwing out that haymaker to help Knight get priority so he can contest for the spot side scuttle. Okay. But SofM is already here, and Hunafeng and SwordArt do have push in the bot lane.
So SofM will take that one away, and Karsa backs away. Just going to head to the top side instead and trade 1-for-1.
This is something we see that Karsa loves to do, is he always tries to contest for scuttle on the weak side of the map. He will typically gank Knight's lane very early on and try to gain that priority. But hey, looks like SofM potentially setting up for the same thing, but realizes, hey, Knight's playing extremely safe. He is hovering towards his strong side, and instead we're going to see SofM go for a bit of counter jungle.
Ward will spot him out there as teleport used in the top side by 369 to get back to this wave that was shoving. has corrupting and a Doran's Blade, while Knight through mid will spot SOFM. Bit of damage laid down, gets phase rush and walks away, while karsa's still here, but a level down.
Yep, karsa.
These are the windows we talked about, right?
Exactly, because you always know that TS are going to punish. And once again, just heading towards this mid lane, exerting a bit of pressure on Angel. Looks like he wants to help Knight be able to push out because Knight is getting quite low on mana.
Meanwhile, in the bottom lane, the Caitlyn Lux doing exactly what they should.
Of course, and we said that Sunig's comp wants to play at a range, and when you're playing at a range against the Caitlyn Lux, that just feels extremely hard. And that's why coming out from draft, I really do like what TS have put together compared to Suning. I can see how Suning's comp works, I can see how it wants to play, but they are definitely the team that needs to do more. They are the team that needs to push the action forward.
Built around SOFM and how he can be around this early game. He is a level lead over karsa, or at least half at this point. He's topside currently.
The great thing as well, we look at the CS lead that they've gotten in the bot lane, forcing Hunafeng out early, so it's going to build up even more the experience that he's missing out on. So JackeyLove and Yuyanjia are going to get a great reset. They're going to be able to come back, and we could even potentially see karsa make a hover once again towards bot, but that'd be very uncharacteristic of karsa.
It would.
If you've watched LPL this split, you know TS are a completely top-side focused team early on.
JackeyLove feels like he's back on IG once again, as now into the top side, we have Counter-Strike at the ready for 369. karsa's moving in, and Bin's actually just walked to the wave. No 6 to pull him into the death realm. The death grass great, but 1 versus 2. 369 setting it up for karsa, who runs it in with the face breaker. The Jax jumps on in. Haymaker dodged away, and 369 getting low, flashes on in, almost dies. But karsa secures first blood.
And beautiful setup coming out from 369, getting the control ward in Tribrush. So no vision down for Bin, allows for an easy gank coming in from karsa. But now the wave, not in a great place for TS's bot lane, but it is pushing into them. So if they do just play a bit back, SofM shouldn't find any windows to gank bot.
Is spotted on that control ward as he clears it through. Will do some more counter jungling. And if you don't know SofM, throughout the years, people have always talked about SofM prioritizing enemy camps. Of course, getting that CS lead in the jungle too. Very much about building his lead and exerting his pressure, as he now has level 6, walking up towards the top side for the next scuttle. Meanwhile, we just keep watching bot, because SwordArt has no mana, and Yuyanjia does quite a lot of damage at this point. Half health for SwordArt. The Lux wins out. Supportal combat has never looked so exciting.
And now JackeyLove and Yuyanjia are just free to keep taking these plates in the bot lane. This was exactly why we said we wanted to see SofM be able to find an early window, but Yuyanjia and JackeyLove have just done such a good job at controlling vision around the bot side. They've gotten the wards they needed. We saw the one in front of red buff that SofM had already cleared, and now this control ward just in the lane brush. Just giving them so much control.
Yuyanjia pushed out SwordArt, and he was forced to back, so even more so. Current plating's going to fly down here as Hunafeng sends out the fourth shot and has to run back.
This goes exactly to the win condition that we set up for TS, right? You don't even necessarily need the gank that you had on top side. It's just about making sure that Suning aren't able to find these early windows.
Yeah.
I expect that Suning are going to look for maybe an early play on Herald, but at the same time, with TS now getting this early Drake, with TS's bot lane consistently pushing out, I can't see a window where Hunafeng and SwordArt will be able to get a back, move first, and set up for Suning to fight for that objective, because we've seen 369 is winning in top, JackeyLove and Yuyanjia are winning in bot, and karsa's just able to peek his head in mid lane to guarantee that Knight's able to get that priority.
First dragon of the game given over. 369 actually might have an edge on Bin here. Solo kill time at the ready. Death Realm not going to make a damn difference. As running in with the shield. 369 out of mana though. Maybe that does. Leap strike. Solo kill anyway. And 369 on the board in game 1.
369 was the best top laner for a majority of LPL summer. So once again, getting the counter pick in top lane was exactly what he needed to push this matchup forward, and this was one of the ways where Top Esports struggled in the regular split. When it was 369 on the losing matchup, karsa having no lanes to play around, TS really struggled.
Now karsa's running the map while SofM's farming up trying to get a lead. 369 at half health, and SofM has just flashed in for the commitment. Waiting for the counter-strike, perfect time, but I don't think he has enough mana. Tries to dodge end of the line, but collateral damage, and SofM gets retribution.
Yeah. Very decisive coming out from SofM. I understand what 369 was trying to do, though, because he had to push the wave into turret to get the bounce back, so it wouldn't be left in this awkward position where Bin can try to set up a freeze. And sure, it will eventually slow push back into 369, but of course it's going to be dangerous now if SofM wants to look for a repeat gank on top side.
Spamming the laugh button as he backs as well, by the way. That's good class here out of the 74 CS Graves jungle with a kill. Just picked up warriors, has boots. So, it's a bit of a solo carry game.
And one thing I want to highlight for SofM and Suning as a whole is look at their vision on top side. They did such a good job at getting these control wards to spot out a potential Herald play that would want to be coming out from Karsa.
Good dodge from JackeyLove meanwhile in the bottom lane. Karsa is actually going across those control wards while this continues to be so punishing. Light Binding doesn't connect, the final spark does though. JackeyLove sends out Ace in the hole, and just like that, the bottom lane having more fun.
And Asterix, I want to remind you that TS banned Ashe on blue side. You knew they were going to pick this Caitlyn, and you opted into this.
Absolutely smashing. Well, Bin might be caught out without Death Realm. Counter-Strike once again. You get that empowered auto, and Bin, get ready to die once more to a Jax who's 2-1-1. Rift Herald, if it wasn't given up before, it damn well is now.
TS are just doing such a great job at controlling the map, and I credit it so much to Draft and so much to how their lanes have played around this security in their vision. They got first Dragon, they're getting first Herald, they're getting bot lane.
Ridiculous.
They're taking everything.
This is the top esports that started the season off. Coming off of MSE.
This was the one where we kept saying, okay guys, the script is out. We know who's winning LPL this split.
Yeah.
Just so dominant in the first 10 minutes of the game.
And I love that for Suning, even though they're falling behind, it's SofM who's trying to build up this lead for his team. It's SofM who's still trying to deny Karsa as much as possible with the deficit.
This also highlights some of the flaws with Suning, that their mid-jungle doesn't actually have very great synergy, so we don't actually ever see SofM and Angel really link up and play together all that often. Here's the play that we saw in the bot side where Yuyanjia was able to hit the binding, get a nice ultimate off. Ooh, the headshot comes in, forcing the heal. And this has been the thing with JackeyLove and Yuyanjia, is they love to play this aggressively, and we've seen it can be punished, right? V5 were the first team to punish them. They hard camp bot lane, they continuously dove JackeyLove and Yuyanjia, and then JackeyLove wasn't a factor in those games. But when JackeyLove and Yuyanjia are left to their own devices, when they do have the vision around bot side, when they get to play this straight up 2v2, this is why JackeyLove's CS differential 15 is so high.
And now that they've got the BF Sword pickaxe, even if SofM comes in, it's going to require quite a lot here with the way they've been playing. Meanwhile, the person we haven't really talked about, surprisingly, is Knight, who's just farming away. Because there's all this mid lane pressure now built up with Karsa down here. Yuyanjia misses the light binding, but SwordArt still walking forward with SofM now joining. It's a level 9 Graves, so still quite a lot of damage here. End of the line maxed.
That's just both teams fighting for river vision when Dragon is going to come up in about a minute, so there are going to be time if resets need to come out, get some more wards, get back into that river. We actually see Yuyanjia does still have all three, so he's going to feel fine for TS to maybe come back down bot, push out this next wave, and then take control of river once again.
40 seconds till that Dragon spawns. Yuyanjia now moving back down, and you can see Hunafeng trying to do the same. Yuyanjia just sitting on the edge here. Light Binding connects, but instant Black Shield. I think we saw that in the V5 series as well.
Yes. I mean, I remember this combo so well because I think LNG was the team who played it beautifully.
Yeah.
And they've even paired the McCarthys with it where you have so much long-range kill threat, it's absolutely disgusting.
It's quite amazing when it all goes well, but we're still a while from seeing that as Karsa's now in the bottom lane, setting up for this first turret. Hunafeng gets layered down. Once again, long-range damage also there for top esports bottom lane, and first turret will be denied for now, while here comes the cavalry. Karsa dodges away, wants to go on SofM. He receives the Black Shield, though, and Curtain Call onto JackeyLove while he takes down a ward. Won't get him killed. The fourth shot into Yuyanjia means not too much, unless Suning want to start the Dragon.
Exactly, and Angel actually lost out on some minions in the mid lane because we saw Knight stay mid and push that out while Angel was hovering.
Karsa's going to go in anyway. That's
fine, right? Because if you look at the minimap, Angel's not here. Right now, TS do have man advantage still. Karsa getting chunked out, has to go for that recall. Luckily for him, he has Rift Herald.
Yes.
So does have that empowered recall coming off and going to be able to get back on the map faster. And neither team able to pick up Dragon in that instant, but for TS, it is fine. The longer this game goes on in a neutral state, the better you do feel. And now it looks like Suning are trying to get vision control. They know that Karsa's not on bot side anymore. And I would expect SwordArt just comes straight down bot and Suning potentially just pick up this Dragon.
Okay. Well, SwordArt's making his way down there as first turret blood does go down in favor of top esports, but being started here with the level 10 Graves, and everyone will notice I'm pointing out the levels constantly because the strength of SofM here in this game one, still with that experience lead, still with the extra damage he's going to provide,
Exactly, because he's just been hard farming all game to where we saw Karsa continuously going for ganks, continuously hovering for his laners, and now giving over the Rift Herald, the 369. And this has been the story of Karsa this year for people who haven't gotten a chance to watch a lot of LPL, is that Karsa is a very low econ, very lane-focused jungler.
Yeah.
When you do have 3 superstars, a 369 Knight and JackeyLove, it's all about enabling them.
Was it you who said it feels like he's kind of on RNG again?
It
and
does.
He has to play
It really does.
Yeah. As now going to go tussle with SofM. He flashes away. But of course 369 and Knight were nearby, so can't even get into his own topside jungle.
Ooh, look at the Jax TP.
All right, behind enemy lines. Hunafeng is in a lot of trouble. In fact, it's a double TP down the bottom line. The Emperor shuffle here from Angel, though, catching out the other members. Yuyanjia might have to sacrifice his life, but SofM gets slow with the 90 caliber now connecting. But look at Karsa in the back line. Dunk SwordArt while 369 joins the play. Ace in the hole. And good night to SwordArt. Top Esports are not done, though. Deathrealm pulls in 369, but I'm not sure. Bin may regret this one as he gets over the wall. But into Karsa, the facebreaker will be at the ready. So he flashes away. Top Esports a net win in such a bloody fight.
These are exactly the small windows that we talked about. TS rotate towards the top half of the map because they had pressure top from using the Herald. They're all coming mid. The TP ward is set up for Jax.
Leap strike, counter strike, everybody get down. It's another solo kill in the making. 369's on fire.
369 having one of the best performances we've seen all split. Very reminiscent to those first few weeks. 3-1-2 on this Jax. 0-4-0 Mordekaiser. I don't know how Bin's going to play this game.
He's probably not, as SwordArt has the same problem going against Yuyanjia. But half health, he's going to walk away while SofM wants to get down and gritty with 369. Can he 1v2?
I'd say no.
Okay. Keep that
He doesn't have ult. He doesn't have flash.
Angel has his ult available, though. Counter-Strike at the ready. Maybe he doesn't need to 1v2 if SofM just abandons Angel. End of the line at the ready, and 369 does so much damage. Oh, Angel feels bad.
Remember how we said SofM and Angel don't have any synergy?
Good point.
There it is right there on our screens.
Oh,
Poor
man.
Angel tries to go in, they try to coordinate it, they aren't able to do so. It's allowing JackeyLove so much space in the mid lane to start chunking down this turret. And guess what? Rift Herald is back up, and now TS will easily be able to transition all this vision control to taking that objective.
This is a spanking. An absolute spanking in game one as step on a trap. Oh, not going to break your mama's back. We're going into that Rift Herald, as you mentioned, and another dragon. I want to also point out that quickly, it's become almost a 5k gold lead at 16 minutes in the game.
And 3,000 of that is all on 369.
Yeah.
And, ooh, Bin once again.
In the same spot.
Oh.
Shockwave going to be used. The final spark. Bin, what can you do? Ace in the hole used. Give it over to JackeyLove. Bin is 0-5.
Something we actually haven't mentioned yet is this is Bin's first ever playoffs appearance. It's also Hunafeng's. This is a higher pressure situation than they've ever been in.
Yes.
And again, it's understandable if Bin does come in and just start, you know, maybe feeling the pressure.
And of course, we said for Suning as well, the furthest they've been in playoffs. There's so much pressure on this team, and in game one, they're getting tested by a lot of these veterans of the league as JackeyLove is being cheeky. Sticking the thumbs in the air while Yuyanjia is walking in as well. Suning will not be able to get that turret mid.
And just when you look at Suning as a whole, even SofM never made really a far playoff run. No. SwordArt really is the lone experienced member of this roster.
SofM's never been to Worlds. Like, he's been here in the league for a long time, right? Never been to Worlds.
Even going back to his GPL days.
Yeah. This guy's been playing League of Legends for 9 years or so. And at this point, here in game one, they've lost track of momentum, while Top Esports keep gaining it.
Things are coming out.
SofM has been spotted, though. The Leap Strike used. 369 gets Blade of the Rune King active, and Counter-Strike is going to lock on down. And Knight picks up the second kill with the Shockwave. And the most fed member dropping is a sign of things to come.
That was just them punishing Suning, trying to find an engage window onto them. They know their comp doesn't outscale what TS have picked up, and they need to find something. But Yuyanjia has been playing this luck so beautifully.
So aggressively as well. Goes to the light binding, stops the back out of SwordArt while
he ults off cooldown.
Yep.
It's been quite nice to see, and he has been the struggling member for TES.
It feels like this split, though, he's really found his form. He's, you know, not the best support in the league, but he's moving into that top tier list. Yeah.
Unfortunate for SofM. Gets spotted when Knight is walking forward. As I mentioned, we saw pings coming out from Suning, so they were trying to set up some kind of engage, but at this point, it really feels like you're going to rely on TS to make some kind of mistake of someone overstepping and you being able to find that pick, them giving you that pick rather than you being able to force it yourselves.
I wonder how they do that, though, because at this point, with top Esports lead, it feels near impossible to give it away. 2 items on the Caitlyn, 2 items on this Jack's top. 369 has a Trinity Force and a Blade of the Ruined King with Mercury Shreds, so... This Jax needs the attention of the whole team, as you can see soon.
I was going to say, they realize, hey, this is our only window. We need to punish where TS only have 1 man, but they still have tower top. 369 is going to be fine. At least Suning will be able to steal away this red buff and take away some camps. So even further that EXP lead that SofM does have.
Speaking of which, though, the do-si-do around the Mountainous Rift, Infernal Rift,
But look at the bottom lane. JackeyLove once again just getting... They're playing this macro game so beautifully where we haven't even really seen JackeyLove have to interact with the enemy team outside of his ultimate.
And we haven't seen this kind of play as that headshot comes through. Ace in the hole will be absorbed by SwordArt, but 3 autos is all it took with that crit chance. And again, to reiterate my point, we haven't seen this version of top esports in quite a while. It's nice to see in their playoff format as they debut in the semi-final. The turret goes down. Now a bigger gold lead spans. Top Esports up by 7,000, then some at 20 minutes with an Infernal Rift on them.
And it looks like right now they're rotating for a collapse on mid. We see 369 coming down from top side.
SofM has found himself Karsa. Karsa's pretty tanky here, gets the half health while the light binding sets up the final spark. JackeyLove walking forward into 4 members without care, and Knight does the same. Suiting defend, hold on, but not much committed.
At the same time, there is no objective up right now anyway, so even if a fight breaks out, that was a bit dicey, but TS right now, they love doing plays like this where they continue the aggression. They had push in both sides. They try to collapse.
And they're backing, which means this is actually a window that Suning have decided to pull on.
We said it had to come down to some kind of cheeky cheese play coming out from Suning. This is as cheeky as you can get.
Now, this could go horribly wrong or it could go absolutely fantastic, but there are low health bars, and Knight has Shockwave. Baron's not taken, Shockwave in the pit, doesn't do too much as Bin is the one who takes him out. At 2k, 369 in the backside though, might find something as Baron is getting low. It is smited down by SofM, but I think Suning are just about to get obliterated. Bin on the backside meets his maker once again, and the only person to survive is going to be Hunafeng.
Ultimately, not worth for Suning, but they didn't really have any other options. They tried to force the Baron play. Actually, great Death Realm coming out from Bin. It took the Shockwave in as well, so that's why we didn't see Knight able to find that massive impact. But TS are just so far ahead at this point. You mentioned how beautifully Bin played that fight. You killed 4 members. You're extending this gold lead. Now you're able to take more structures on the back end.
369 was waiting there for the escape path of Suning. And with 4 people dead, once again, JackeyLove goes and gets mid-turret. Now, Hunafeng has the Baron to try and delay this game, but top Esports are not stopping in their relentless pursuit.
It also feels like a good time to point out, you know, if we do have more international viewers, they will see this Caitlyn build think, hey, doesn't Caitlyn typically go Stormrazor second? Because that's what we do see over in EU.
Yep.
I'll pause with that logic as we see this pulled right into the Death Realm, so the Orianna ultimate not able to hit anyone. Sadly, Yuyanjia missing a bunch of those key abilities. But every member of Suning is still taking the Baron damage. You highlighted 369 perfectly cutting them off as well as karsa. 369 flashes in, gets the E onto SofM. They take him down as well. And like you said, Hunafeng, sadly the only one able to get away.
In the end, I just like that little play of SofM flashing back in the pit to make sure he gets the Baron. Because if top Esports stole it there, base broken, game probably ending sooner than later.
But as I was saying before, we don't typically actually see the double BF sword item build come out on Caitlyn in the LPL. Not quite sure why. It seems like old habits are just ingrained. I feel like in this game it's actually fine to where we see JackeyLove isn't really interacting with the enemy team so much, so having the attack speed to take down turrets is quite beneficial.
Also, he's so elevated at this point as Suning are trying to cut this one off. Knight Yuyanjia in a difficult position as JackeyLove there too. Versus 3, the damage coming down, but that curtain call did absolutely nothing to a Lux support. Light binding down, JackeyLove forward, into 3, flashes away, ends up getting SwordArt in the end. Ace in the hole healed as Hunafeng takes it. Now SofM has to run. This game has felt over for a while, but for top esports, every single time, they're making it look like so much fun. Has been in the Death Realm, may even regret this decision as well. Trying to take down Karsa. He's golden, and now he's dead.
And Yuyanjia might not look tanky, But still, you're a Lux that's matching your shield. You have Revitalize to even amplify that. You have Guardian coming out. So with how far ahead TES are, we saw how little damage Hunafeng's ultimate did to Yuyanjia.
And now after that, top Esports just going to head mid. Suning trying to defend their best. Hunafeng's Baron buff again, running out in about 10 seconds. Has done a good job of slowing down that tempo, but top Esports have another appointment. It's with the Infernal Dragons. JackeyLove gets layered down. Angel sends him backwards. They might have found the AD carry, but pretty much takes Angel with him. A 1-for-1.
That was still great coming out from SwordArt, finding that crucial binding, because a 1-for-1 when you're a team that's 10,000 gold down is a massive win. It's still going to translate into TS being able to pick up this third dragon. So right after this, they are going to be on soul point. But
are we going to get there? Ooh. Good question. SofM Shockwave back in, and remember, Knight has a Spellbinders versus 3 dodges away from the Deadly Flourish and still wants this blue buff.
Ooh, but TS are rotating.
And they're coming in pretty fast. 369 with the Leap Strike, and SwordArt out thanks to the Scuttle Crab.
And Knight having the confidence to fend off 3 members of Suning by himself. Just chunk out SofM pretty low, tethering that range quite perfectly. Gives enough time for the rest of TS to rotate over, and Suning not even able to find the counter jungling that they were looking for.
Hey, there's a Mordekaiser on Knight.
Finally, I was waiting for it.
I know.
I mean,
good.
It doesn't have that many stacks, so I can understand why he was buying
but
it.
But it's Knight, you know? And I think I was asking Clement about it. I said, I asked for a stat, and I'm not going to give it to you because I can't remember, but the point of this conversation is,
okay,
a lot of the times, like the majority of games, he buys Magi, and the amount of times he's gotten it to full stacks is more often than not, I believe. As over the wall, are you ready? SofM doesn't get locked down. The final spark, though, does connect as Karsa's running in. Face breaker. Bit of extra damage, and the Dead Man's Plate gets the slow. Ulti back. Knight picks up the kill. There's another couple of stacks.
Look, I'll give it to him. The sidestepping was clean.
Yep.
But Karsa's still able to get in there with that movement speed boost coming out from his Q.
Angel wants to flank. And you know what? As Suning, I admire this. Considering how far behind they are and how done this game feels, they're still putting in a little heart.
Exactly. When the enemy comp does outscale what you've picked up, it feels a lot more worth to continuously 50-50 the game, hope the coin flip lands on your side, and then be able to win out in a big way.
Esports are back mid, though. Well, good timing on Black Shield in this game, but Counter-Strike's going to run through enough damage here. With the Shackles, Azir ready, 369 runs out, though, and the Leap Strike finishes off the kill, while Bin into the death realm. We might actually kill Karsa, who runs away in the end, though. Insult to injury with the Leandri's Torment, not even enough. 4 mid. 369's not stopping now. Top Esports in 26 minutes are on the door of the Nexus. Once more, 369 has so much shielding. Oh. He doesn't care. Ace in the hole. Somebody save Angel. Hunafeng can't do it.
This is such a beautiful game coming out from TS. Mechanically, macro-wise, everything is there. Punishing every small mistake Suning are making. And now with Angel down, he is their consistent source of wave clear. They can just end.
Running forward, 369 is going to help them take down these Nexus turrets. Curtain Call comes out. Maybe Top Esports is going to back off and just get the inhibitor, but just get this minion wave towards the base.
You have Guardian on Lux, you have the Lux shields, you have the Orianna shields. You don't need to stop.
Yeah, and Top Esports don't stop. Top Esports are meant to be the first seed, and in Game 1 of the semi-finals, they have acted like it as Yuyanjia is doing exactly that. 369 near unkillable. Flashes away for the sake of it. The Shockwave into 2. The combination, insane. As we're diving about in a semi-final game of the LPL, Top Esports spanked the Tiger down.
Top Esports looked like they had absolutely no pressure on their shoulders. 369 especially, great game. Yuyanjia coming out strong, and again, another rookie this year. We've seen the nerves be there for him before, but clearly not showing up in this game. And such a great performance coming out from both side lanes.
That was one of the easiest playoff games we've seen so far, right? That was, apart from LGD maybe slapping down IG a couple of times as well.
I think this might have been even more one-sided.
This definitely felt like it. I mean, JackeyLove and Yuyanjia getting their designed lane. Seeing Karsa for the first time on the set as well, where you made a really good point. He sacrificed a lot of his own ability or resources.
Yes.
And facilitated his lanes quite nicely as well.
And we didn't even have to see Mr. Knight step in. Like, Knight didn't have to be online for this game, so
he played well.
They're saving that card for later when Knight gets the Silas, Knight gets the Syndra, Knight 1v9s. Great to see that this game, again, 369 showed up. Their bot lane They had the vision set down by themselves. They were getting all those plate golds. SofM not able to interact with the lane a lot because TS's bot lane were chunking out Hunafeng and SwordArt before anything could even happen.
Options were limited, and SofM, I mean, I do like seeing the old SofM where he will go in and he'll try and optimize his farm and he'll build an individual lead that try to influence the game. Wasn't able to do that because we just got to those fights at 15 minutes where 369 was ahead, JackeyLove and Yuyanjia were almost one-shotting everyone.
When I look at how these teams match up, I would love to see SofM go for a more heavily ganking style, be that more economy style jungler, because you have Hunafeng on your roster, you have Bid on that roster. Sure, SofM is a great jungler as well, but setting up your star laners for success, especially when you have to play against a 369 and JackeyLove a night, feels so crucial. That's
why we were mirroring these teams and saying, well, you know, Bin is a great solo laner. Angels had some really high-tier performances as well. And for Hunafeng, the comparison was JackeyLove because they've the understudy, to use your word again. How potent Hunafeng can be and how good he is at the game. So that's a great point. We'll hold on to that because SofM impacting those lanes, it could have been a very different story.
Exactly, and I do want to just highlight how easy it was for TS was because both of their side lanes won, right? It was so easy for them to transition their bot lane lead into a Dragon.
3 solo kills in the end or something.
Yeah, transition the top lane lead into a Herald. They never needed to have Jack start roaming down and maybe hovering for mid lane in Fog of War. They never needed to have Yuyanjia unlocked from lane because both sides just pretty much won on their own.
There you go, facilitators and carries alike on the same board here for TES. And that gold lead, that slope upwards, is beautiful to watch. And this is the top esports that are really proving they're the best team in the LPL. And, you know, when you have such high ceiling on these players, seeing it in game 1 is a good sign for the series.
Great sign for TS. I like their draft a lot. We've already highlighted how their players are on point.
Yep.
We need to see Suning come in with a different plan.
Thank you.
The Caitlyn is just so strange to me, where we have so much data from all the regions over the world, how strong this pick is, how it really is a first pick or ban champion. The only answer here in the LPL we've seen is, let's say you're facing the Caitlyn Lux, it would be something like the Ashe Karma. Sadly, the Karma did get nerfed, but even if you change it out for something like a Morgana, LNG was bringing in the Janna. There's other options you could pick up, but they opted into the Jhin, and we saw how that panned out.
It's got to shift away here for Suning, down with the game 1 deficit, but for top esports, a very strong